Hello friend, my name is Doombabe, and Netflix recently put up the first 100 episodes of Naruto, and you can see where this is going. Naruto is one of my favorite anime, and this is probably going to be one of the only times I ever actually review an anime that I have previously seen, just because I haven't actually watched an episode in a few years. So let's get started. Now, because Naruto cycles through multiple opening and closing sequences, I can't really get into detail on every closing like I normally do. However, I can say that Naruto has very, very good openings. In fact, from what I remember, there was only one I never really liked, and that was the song Sadness into Kindness. I think it was the third opening, and just the song was awkward itself, and then the visuals weren't that great, and all in all, it wasn't an impressive opening. It wasn't anything that I looked forward to. Everything else, though, from what I remember, my husband took my notes to work, so I'm just like, everything else was very good. The song choice was amazing. They were catchy, they were fun to listen to, and the actual visuals, the videos themselves were interesting to watch, and they were all very different from the last. Unlike the openings, though, this season really wasn't the glory season for closings. I mean, the first one was outstanding, but then the second one happened, and it was really awkward because it was just like Sakura and Ino wiggling around, and the song was good, but it wasn't good for Naruto, and then the video was boring except for the weird, creepy, chibi-looking girls, and it was just, ugh. So this arc had a very hit or miss deal when it came to the closing. Like, some were good, some were really good, and then some were just, ugh. Naruto gets a lot of crap, but honestly, it's not a bad anime. In fact, I find it incredibly enjoyable. I mean, I'm not going to lie and say that the immense amount of Believe It's didn't get to me, and it did suffer the same fate that a lot of shonens share, where battles would just take way too long because people would just talk. But if you move past the flaws that they did work on as the series progressed, you can find a lot of promising features. For one, there is the dynamic between Naruto and Sasuke. They're two best friends that care so deeply for each other, they're willing to put their lives on the line in order to save one another. It's a very strong friendship that was founded on an intense rivalry, which was founded on an initial hatred for each other. Their relationship is a perfect blend of friendship and rivalry, which pushes each other to strive to better themselves. This is also shown in Sakura and Ino, though it doesn't get nearly as much screen time. You really only ever get to see it in some flashbacks and inner monologues. Speaking of Sakura, I really wish they put more of a focus on her. Not only was she really the only character that was willing to set aside her pettiness to become a total badass, but she was the only character that truly developed. Characters aside though, the anime has a pacing that isn't slow, but it isn't rushed by any means. It starts out sort of simple, but then it quickly progresses, giving you plenty of time to get to know the main characters before it progresses into the darker and heavier stuff with the Chunin exams. And in my opinion, this was the best arc in the entire series because it was very well written. It was dark and heavy, and it had enough explanations where it made sense and they were situational appropriate without it feeling like excessive hand-holding. Like I said earlier though, the only really big issue I had with the series was just because the battles would take so long. And the only battle that really felt like it was worthy of that length was the fight with Rock Lee and Gaara. And if you've seen Naruto, you know exactly what I'm talking about because that was an intense fight. For the writing as a whole, if I were to pick out one more grievance, it was the amount of focus they put on the jutsu names. The writers seemed to assume that we would just forget who had what jutsu, or we wouldn't be able to figure out what they did. For example, in the Forest of Death, when Gaara is facing down against the Rain Village enemies, The guy like threw up his umbrellas and he was like, Senbon rainstorm. And then it flashes to Hinata and she's like, it's like a rainstorm of Senbon. Like, thanks Hinata, I really wasn't able to figure that out on my own. Also, the ninja repeatedly used the full names of their jutsus, which just felt entirely unnecessary because A, it isn't like I'm going to forget Shikamaru's only jutsu, and B, a lot of these jutsus had very long names, so it kind of felt a little ridiculous. Now, the first 80 or so episodes of Naruto didn't go without flaws. The animation was pretty jittery in the first couple dozen episodes, and even when they fixed a lot of that and it progressed, the animation still had its moments where you're kind of like, that could have been nicer. The same goes for the art. The lines a lot of the time weren't really all that even, and there were times where you could obviously tell that an artist had just gotten downright lazy and decided to start taking shortcuts. However, this wasn't prevalent, these weren't very big issues, so it wasn't exactly like it was detrimental to the viewing experience. In terms of the actual design, I can't say that Naruto has ever actually let me down when introducing a new character. Even characters that weren't important really, or that you would never see again in the series. The artists successfully create people that are all over the spectrum, from conservative to totally unique and nearly iconic. And I don't just mean the clothes and the hair, but the actual eyes themselves impressed me too. The eye styles vary from a solid blue to green with pupils, and the characters even had varying eye shapes. These characters were all very distinctive in their own ways. All in all, there is a very good set of reasons as to why Naruto is one of my favorite anime of all time, and it's not just because I watched it at a young age. It has a perfect blend of humor and dark moments, it has steady pacing, character development that isn't shoved down your throat, and an excellent soundtrack. And I don't usually talk about the soundtrack all that much in anime, but I really liked how they alternated between using traditional Asian instruments and more modern Western style instruments. They also used varying genres, and it just, all in all, it created an outstanding soundtrack that is nothing short of iconic, seriously. And the dub was really good too. Usually the dubs get a bad rep because Western voice actors are kind of awkward, but the cast was very well picked. And my only real complaint about the voice acting was how they did the voice acting for the past selves, which they just took the current voice actor and made them like raise their voice a little bit because it sounded really just bad. And that's just because every time an adult tries to voice a child, it turns out terrible. That's not something that is exclusive to this anime. It's a problem with a lot of anime that do flashbacks to when that character is a kid. Anyways, those are my thoughts on the first like 100-ish episodes of Naruto. Have you seen it? Did you love it? Are you gonna give me shit because I like this? Let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, you can find all of my social media in the description below. And happy unbirthday! I will see you in the next video. Bye! Oh, look at the bugs on the floor.
It's like a slack jaw.
Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my god, there's a witch in here too.
Really?
Yeah.